resource persons today. I'll just ask that all our resource persons today, please send me a text message, or you can look for me in the chat and just text me, so that way I can recognize the names and pin you on, so that way everyone that is speaking everyone can see you while you're speaking, essentially. So if you're not currently pinned on the screen, please send me a text in the chat. And I mean, if you're a resource person speaking today, and then I will be able to highlight you appropriately. So welcome everyone once again. I'm really excited to be here with us today. We're just going to open up today, just go through some of the formalities, and then we'll continue from there. So again, this is the It Takes a Village to Raise a Child for 2021, and the idea is to create this opportunity for all of us to basically build network, help our younger people to build network with people that are currently in industry and things of that nature. So we're just going to start with a quick silent prayer now, and we're just going to pray that everyone that is coming today will be blessed. Everyone that is coming today will have value added to them. We are asking that we're just praying that every word that will be shared today will bring knowledge, will bring direction to everyone. We're going to be asking, we're praying that everything will go smoothly, the Zoom will go perfectly well, and everyone that will be speaking words that are relevant to everyone involved. And we just pray all this. Amen. 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 Okay, so I will just quickly add a few more people to the pin here, and then we'll go on from there. So just a moment. All right, so before we go any further, I would at this point like to recognize that I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting ground, gathering place, and traveling routes to the Cree, Soto, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge that all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked this land for centuries. And with that, I would now kind of move on to introducing the people that will be speaking to us today, but I think I should also introduce myself. So I am Victor Adeomi, everyone. I am from Nigeria originally. I came to Canada 8 years ago, and I studied at the University of Alberta in Edmonton. And now I work as an engineer, as a young civil engineer. So that is a little bit about myself. And I'm honored today to be our MC or host. So I will be making sure everyone is speaking. And if you're not speaking, you'll be volunteered to speak. So, and I just want us to be very engaged today. Just before we begin to introduce the people that will be speaking to us today, I would like to mention that we have some gift cards for today. So make sure that you're paying attention, everyone, so that you can, be able to answer questions and be a part of that as well, so that just making sure that we're all participating essentially. And with that, I will now move on to the introduction of our speakers for today. So I would just ask that everyone that is speaking today, please unmute yourself so that we can kind of go through this quickly, so that you're not muting and unmuting in the process. And then after that, we can all stay muted until we're ready to speak. Okay, so I would just call on the names of people on my screen, and then you can just introduce yourself and tell us what you do very briefly, and then we go through everyone accordingly. Okay, so Mr. Dennis, you're first up on my screen here. Can you please unmute?
Hello, everyone. This is Dennis Okolo. I'm an instructor at NAIT. I read architecture, so that's what I teach at NAIT. I teach architectural technology. Welcome to the program.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis. Brian?
Hello, my name is Brian. I'm a student at McEwan, third year. So I'm taking accounting and a minor in finance. Yeah, and I'm originally from Kenya.
Welcome, Brian. Ifeoma.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ifeoma Iwelu. I am a first-year student at the University of Alberta. I am studying economics, and I am Nigerian, and I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Mariah, up next.
Hi everyone, my name is Mariah Nyangotu. I am studying biochemistry at the U of A. I'm in my first year and I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Naraya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Naraya. I'm in grade 12 and I'm 16 years old.
Thank you so much. Nikki.
Hi, I'm Nikki. I work for the city of St. Albert and I'm the youth asset worker. So I work with the developmental assets.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we have Peter on.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Peter Obiefuna. I'm a lawyer in Edmonton, but I run retirement hours because I'm a bit much older than Naraya, so I'm retired this year.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited for the people that we have on today. We still have some speakers today that I haven't. Oh, yes. Welcome, Councillor Ray. I just saw you now. So just give me a moment so I can spotlight you and we can all see you. There you go. Can you please unmute, introduce yourself? I mean, you don't really need any introduction here, but
Thank you. Councillor Ray Watkins, only for another 2 days, because Monday we're in the new council. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to serve on council for the last 4 years. And I have an urban planning degree, and I've been in the urban planning and land use development industry in the region for the last 40 years. So I'm going to return to that. And then I do a lot of photography on the side too. So thank you.
Absolutely. Welcome. Welcome so much. And welcome everyone. And welcome to you as well, joining us today, all over the guests. I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me from the audience. So if you can hear me, just text something, just tell me yes, or just text, yes, I can, something like that. So especially the student, I want to make sure that I'm not talking to myself. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to see it. Glad to see it. Thumbs up. Perfect. Perfect. Let's engage here. Also, I would just want to remind you again, as we begin to go into the conversations, pay attention because there will be gifts. There will be gifts. So make sure you're paying attention to what is being said, and it's going to be awesome. Before we go on into more questions and things like that, I just want to quickly play this recorded welcome greeting from the mayor. She's not with us today, but she still wants to be with us today by message. So just watch here as I play this very brief welcome greeting from Mayor Kathy Aaron.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, as well.
I don't hear.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, let me see. Okay.
Try to share your sound.
Okay, let's see. Just give us a moment here. We tested this before and I think it worked. So I'll try again and see what happens.
Okay, somebody just texted that Constable MJ wasn't introduced. She needs to be pinned.
Okay.
The RCMP representative, she needs to be pinned on here.
Okay, I will do that right away.
Thank you.
So, okay. So that is C. Okay, perfect. More. Oh, okay. I suspect that, so we have Nikki, we have Councillor Ray, Naraya, Mariah, okay, and then, okay, I think, okay, can we see Oh yeah. So yeah, can you go ahead now? Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
okay. I'm Constable MJ Burrows. I'm a member of the RCMP here in St. Albert. I've been a police officer for 22 years. I've policed throughout Alberta and British Columbia in many different towns and communities. Before I was a police officer, I did go to university. I have a degree and 2 associate degrees, and I'm excited to be here to share any information that the youth might like to hear.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really look forward to hearing from you and all the amazing things that you do as well. Okay, so I will try once again to get the audio to play. If I'm not able to get it now, I would try to make sure that we get it before the end of the meeting. I'll try once again. Let me know if you can hear, and then we'll do something about that. Okay, so here we go once again. Just try to share that. Okay, so let's try that.
No.
Okay, so I will work on that, and then I would come back to it in the course of the meeting so that everyone can hear the message from the mayor. Okay, so with that, we shall now move on to the first part of our.
Say a few words. I could say a few words there. I know that the mayor is a big supporter of the Friends of Africans and of St. Albert, and I regret the video can't be shown. And all of council is fully behind initiatives for inclusion and are very, very much supportive and very proud and like I say, supportive of the work that Helen and all the people and members of the association have done on behalf of the community of St. Albert.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for adding that. Indeed, the mayor has really been absolutely supportive of all that we do. And as I said, I would do my best to get that message sent across to everyone before the meeting again is over. So at this point, we will be going into, we were speaking first of all to Mr. Dennis and Constable MJ. And I would make sure that they're also spotlighted here as well as we do that. And as I said earlier, please make sure you're paying attention to what is being said, as you know, there will be some gift prizes and things of that nature that will be coming out of this. So make sure you're paying attention to what they have to say. And also, if you have questions, please feel free to share that with me in the chat, and then I would make sure that they are aware of the questions as well. Okay, so can everyone see Constable MJ and Mr. Dennis? Thumbs up, text, anything, let me know. Perfect, awesome. So to start this off, I'm just gonna be asking basically for you to kind of, Mr. Dennis first, to kind of speak about your background in architecture. Actually, just take us from as much as you can briefly from like grade 6. I think you mentioned something about Nigeria. So something from grade 6 and just snapshot all the way to here. Just think about the old time and just kind of narrow it down into that period and see, just give us a brief merry-go-round of what you did.
Okay. This is Dennis Okolo. I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I want to once more thank you for coming to the program or to the event. It takes a village to raise a child. So I studied architecture in university, but right from when I was in high school, frankly, I didn't know what I was going to do. I wasn't sure, and I always say this at the beginning of.
I forgot this stuff.
I always say this at the beginning of every lecture I give at NAIT, because sometimes students get worried that they haven't made up their mind. So it's okay if you haven't made up your mind, but I would just say that if you're interested in how buildings are constructed, how buildings are built, what goes into the building, then architecture is for you. So after my high school, I applied to a university. I went into an undergrad program. I did 4 years and got a Bachelor of Science in Architecture. Then I did 2 years and got a Master of Science in Architecture. When I finished, I was interested in traveling outside the country. So I went to South Africa and I spent 15 years of my life in South Africa. So I taught in a university, I taught in a polytechnic. After some time, I got tired of staying in South Africa. Then I applied to Canada. I applied under the Skilled Migrant Program. And I was a bit confused where to go to, in Canada, whether I should go to Ontario or Alberta. I finally decided to come to Alberta because at that time, the unemployment rate was, I think, 4%. So when I got to Alberta, I taught in a school called Digital School. Then I think I taught there for 3 months before I applied to NAIT, and I've been at NAIT since then. So I came in 2011, and I got into NAIT at August 2011. So I've been at NAIT for 10 years right now.
Oh, wow.
Coincidentally, today is the open house at NAIT. So I also volunteered I volunteer every year to talk at the open house. So I talk to students and prospective students exactly what I'm talking about right now. So to get into NAIT, you need to do English. I don't know whether, can I share my screen?
So just 1 second here. Let me see. If you're able to
I can share my screen if you allow me,
Okay, so just one moment here. If you want, you could forward it to me, and then just in the chat, and then I would just share it that way. Unless Ellen, if you're able to add a co-host, and then we can do that.
Yes, I just made him a co-host, and
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
making Constable MJ co-host to this.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Now you can.
Okay, so I think I would just like to share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to quickly share my screen just to give you an idea of what you need to do to get into NAIT. So to get into NAIT, it's the requirement is you need English, maths, and proficiency in English language. That's all you need to get into NAIT. In Canada, there are many routes or routes to get into architecture. You can go through the university and do an undergrad program and do a postgraduate program, then graduate, or you can do a first degree in any program, then apply to some universities. For example, if you want to get into University of Calgary, you can do any undergrad program, then apply to the university, but you need to get a good score. So for NAIT, you just need English, maths, and proficiency in English, and you need to apply early.
Awesome. Yeah. Something I was going to ask you, Mr. Dennis. You can, if you stop sharing the screen, then I can see everyone. So something I was going to ask you in terms of like, I think you were sharing with us how to get into that program, into architecture and things like that. But I was just thinking from the perspective of someone, let's say I am in grade 9 or something like that. What was for you at that time? Did you envision did you see yourself, coming to, taking this path that you did and studying this program like you did, or was there something that happened later on that inspired you to consider architecture?
I think my interest developed when I went to an architect's house and I saw that the house was totally different from any other house I've seen. So I did mention in the beginning that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but initially it was like that. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do till I went to an architect's house and I saw how his house was different. The staircases were different. The spaces were totally different. So if you're really interested in how a house works or how to design houses, how the house looks on the outside, but and also on the inside. Architecture has so many branches. You have the general architecture, which is, like it involves designing houses. Then you have interior design, which focuses only on interior of buildings. Then you have landscape architecture, which deals with just the exterior, the outside, how you lay out your outside. So that's how it develops. So, but at the same time, I just wanted to emphasize that you just have to have the interest of wanting to know how houses are built, how they are constructed, then you're good to go. That's the first step before you even think about the requirements.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I really appreciate you mentioning that, because I was just thinking, the knowing what is involved is almost nearly as important as knowing how to get into it. So thank you so much for sharing with us. So we're trying to keep the time, so I'll quickly move to Constable MJ today. Again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to hear what you all have to share. And I would just ask you, I guess, a similar type question. What was what did you see yourself from as a young person coming up? Did you see yourself that this is what you're going to do, or was it something that kind of happened in the course of time for you? And then we can kind of get into your day-to-day and what that looks like.
Okay. So when I was 7 years old, my family had taken a trip to Saskatchewan, and we were in Regina for the day. And we toured the RCMP Academy, and that's where all the members of the RCMP in Canada get trained, and it's called Depot. And it happened to be graduation day. So on graduation day, they do a display of marching and different things in their full regimental uniforms. And so I was 7 years old, and I was sitting on the curb watching this parade. And I told my mom, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. And I never veered away from those dreams. I've always been a people person. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy meeting new people, and I've always enjoyed traveling. And so I knew the RCMP would be able to facilitate those dreams and be able to let me do the things that I like to do while still having a career and providing for my family. So I never stayed away or steered away from that. So from 7 years old on, when I was in junior high and high school, I knew I had to do well in school, but I also knew I had to obey the law, because if I was going to be a police officer one day, I had to know that I had to do things that were not going to cause my career to be tarnished in any way. So I tried to be a good kid overall. And then when I graduated from high school, I went to college, and I got what would be equivalent to an associate degree in law enforcement and one in corrections. And then I went down to Montana and got a degree, Montana in the United States, and I got a degree in criminal justice. So after that, then I decided I should try to find a job. But unfortunately, in the early 90s, there weren't many police jobs in Canada that were available. So I moved to Calgary, and I started working in Alberta correction facilities and with medium security inmates. And then from there, I finally got into the RCMP. So it took me a few more steps, but I persevered and I pushed through. And now 22 years later, I've had a successful and rewarding career. I know you mentioned, or people wanted to know exactly what you had to do to be able to get into the RCMP or any kind of police agency. So I can only speak for the RCMP, but the requirements are very similar for any police agency in Canada. You have to be 18 years old. You have to be proficient in English or French. You have to have a valid driver's license with no restrictions. And you have to be able to have graduated from high school, or be able to write an equivalence to say that if you didn't graduate from high school, that you have the equivalent level of a high school graduate. You have to go through some mental health and physical ability testing and vision and hearing standards, just so that everybody has a standard for that. So the police force wants to make sure that you're able to see well and that you're able to hear well. And I'm just going through my list. Also within the RCMP, because we're Canada's national police force, you'll have to be wanting to be able to be posted or live anywhere in Canada, because you never know where you might be working. And you also have to be willing to do shift work, which means working anytime during the 24-hour period. So days, afternoons, and nights. And also you have to be willing to work Saturdays and Sundays and holidays. So,
Okay.
so there's a lot of things that you have to do that might not be a standard type of Monday through Friday type job. But also with the RCMP, there's lots of different things that you can do within the police agency that do more than just what people see as frontline police officers. So that would be the people that take calls for service on a regular basis. So we have a variety of other type of jobs as police officers within the organization.
Wow, that's really amazing. I'm impressed to know that you've had the vision of what you wanted to do so far back. Oh, there is a question that just came in. I believe this is probably for you, Constable MJ. It's asked if you work with the YCJA.
Well, since I've been in St. Albert, which has been a number of years now, I work in the community policing unit. And one of my predominant jobs is working within the schools and the youth in St. Albert. So yes, I work with the youth and within the CGA.
Absolutely.
YCGA.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Just as we kind of like wrap this session up, I just want to remind everyone, continue to ask the questions. You can text me on the chat directly, or you can put it on the group chat, and I will make sure that the question is addressed. And again, make sure you're paying attention. We have some gift prizes to give away. Okay, so Constable MJ, this is again for you. What does your typical work day look like? So you kind of hinted at the fact that we know the obvious gift tickets kind of police job and being on this road and things like that, but there are other things that we don't see, right? So what part of that day-to-day part of your job is maybe for you the most exciting part, or something that you think is not as obvious to most people?
Well, like I said, within the so I've been a police officer 22 years, so longer than a lot of you have all been here and alive. So my career's differed a lot in 22 years. So my first 10 years was frontline policing. So that's when I I still wear a uniform, but had my uniform on and taking calls for service. So a lot of that was enforcement through traffic, proactive policing, different calls for service. So anything that you would think of that involves crime, I would respond to. When I moved away from British Columbia and into Alberta and got into St. Albert, I went into a community policing role. So my days now are a little bit different than my first 10 years of policing. I don't do shift work anymore. So that's good because it's afforded me the ability to be a mom to my children and a spouse to my husband. So I'm the constant soccer mom, if you will, for my kids' activities. But so every day I start work at 6:30 in the morning. I go into the office and I put my uniform on and I go through files because I'm also the media liaison officer for St. Albert. And so I go through files just to make sure there's anything that I need to be able to put out to the media nationwide or provincial wide or within the city of St. Albert. If I need to speak to any files that are going on that need to inform people if there's a safety concern or anything like that. And then from there, I go to those high schools. Predominantly, I'm the school resource officer for Belrose and Paul Kane High Schools. So I go there, I touch base with the administration, I interact with the youth there. Sometimes I'm participating in different events with the youth, whether it be a basketball game in the gym,
Wow.
or going into the Cosmo Lab and doing some stuff with the youth there, or different years they've done different treatments on me, or go to the art room. So I'm just at the school building relationships with youth. It's really important for people to know that just because we have a uniform on, yes, we're police officers, and yes, I have a job to uphold, but I'm also trying to interact and show people that I'm just like you or anyone else, and that if they have problems, they can come to me and we can sit down and we can work through any kind of things going on in their lives. We're all unique individuals and things happen, and sometimes they just need to have that person that they can trust to disclose different things to. And it doesn't have to be criminal in nature. Maybe they need somebody just with a different perspective than their parents or somebody that they have within their family. And I try to offer that to the youth in the community. I also do presentations to all the different grades throughout elementary, junior high, and high school regarding drug awareness, consent, different criminal laws. I talk about the YCGA Act. So lots of different presentations too.
Yes, yes.
So
absolutely.
that's a lot of my day.
Absolutely. Sounds like fun. It's not just, just one thing all the time. So it's really exciting to see that you have quite a variety of things that you do. And so go ahead. Go ahead, please.
I don't write too many tickets anymore in my career.
That's good to know. All righty. So thank you so much. Thank you so very much. This is really enlightening and this is really fun. As I said earlier, we're going to be at this point. Thank you once again, Mr. Dennis. Thank you, Constable MJ. We'll be moving on into the question and answer. We just have a quick question and then whoever gets it gets a prize. But before we do that, I just want to remind us that we are such a varied community and people are joining from everywhere. I've just been informed that we have someone joining from Nunavut, from Iqaluit, Nunavut, and this is Lesedi. So let's just say a quick hi, Lesedi, in the chat, joining us from all the way from Nunavut, and that is just amazing. Yes, absolutely. So with that, I will move on to the question for today. Drum roll. So the question is this. How old? Okay, this is how it's going to work. So if you know the answer, immediately put it in the chat. So just have your hand on your keyboard right now. Whoever gets the right answer first, the first correct answer gets the prize. So how old was Constable MJ when she first thought about being a police? Oh my goodness, never mind. That was too easy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I need to do more difficult. I was just trying to be nice.
You have to make it more difficult.
Okay. Let's
see who was the first person that typed 7 first.
T is the first. So you have to help me out. T does not tell me anything. I need to know what's the name.
Oh my goodness. They typed so fast.
I've barely even said the question. Oh my goodness.
I think you already made people to know what we're going to talk about.
I was too nice. But lessons learned.
T, who is T? Can you T send me? Okay, I'll text T.
Yes, please. Oh my goodness, this is you're too smart. Okay, I need to intensify my questions a bit more. That was way too easy. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. That was really fun. At this point, we will now be inviting Sir Peter Obiefuna. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, sir. I will be pinning you on the screen as well so that we can all see you. So just give me a moment and we shall go on into that. So spotlight. Perfect. Can we all see? Okay, yes, we can see you, sir. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us again today. Welcome again to today's event. I'm really excited to chat with you about what you're doing, to chat with you about what you have in store for us today. But just before we even talk about any of that, I just wanted to kind of ask you to give us, just diving into it in the interest of time, like a brief synopsis of what your everyday job looks like, and if there is such a thing as an everyday life, so to speak, or everything just kind of varies from day to day, from project to project, things of that nature.
Thank you. My name again is Peter Obiefuna, and for the interest of those who showed up late, I'm a lawyer in Edmonton. Before that, I was a software architect. I write computer programs. I lead teams to go deploy programs for companies. But before that, I was a teacher in the university training medical students. They call it professor here, they call it lecturer back in Nigeria. But now, as we speak, I run retirement hours. So to your question, Victor, my typical day sometimes involves just staying under the duvet until I feel well and good to get out of bed. That's what I've retired.
When I grow up, I want to be like that.
Yeah. And but most of what I do now is go to the office. My law office is still open. I go there and I do more of will and estate law now, and I'm more interested in helping people who are unable to pay for regular legal services. That's part of what I do in my retirement. I also do community engagement like this one and reach out to people and talk to people about some of the things I picked up along the way. So one example is financial education, which is what we shall be discussing now. I've held events with several grown-up and youth groups where I kind of share my experiences as to how I prepared, how I planned and prepared for retirement that made it possible for me to retire at this point. And with that, I will just use that as a segue to go into the discussion for today. I want to thank you again. I thank Helen for inviting me. I am really excited to have this opportunity to talk to our youth. What we're going to be discussing today is financial education for all ages. In other words, we are looking for a way to be able to speak to our youth, but not leave the adults getting too bored. So I'm hoping everybody will pick up something from today's presentation. Let me just start my timer. All right. Why do we want to discuss financial education? Some of you may say, all I have in my wallet now, or in my piggy bank, or in my account is the money mommy gives me anytime she begs me to do dishes, and I'm pouting, and she promises me money so I can smile. I don't need a lot of financial education for that, but I think everybody needs some financial education. The sooner we did that, the better. Because money is really so important in the way everything works. The house you live in now, your parents are paying some money for that house to remain your house. You never have to worry about it because that's what parents help to ensure that you don't worry about it. The food you eat, the clothes you wear, the school you go to, all of that is paid for. Money is so important in everything we do in life that not having money is often likened to sickness, not having health to do the things you need to do. If your leg is broken or your arm is broken, you won't be able to walk or lift up the things that you would rather lift. If you don't have money to be able to do the things you need to do, that incapacity, that inability is almost as if you were sick. And research upon research has shown that some people who get financial education are able to manage their finances better than those who don't have financial education, even if you give them both the same amount of money. So if you give this person $1,000 and they don't get any financial education, they don't have any good sense about how to manage money, give this same person $1,000, the person that doesn't know financial education will blow the money and waste it. I'm sure you've heard some of the stories about how people win lottery, and in a few years after they won millions of dollars in lottery, they become poorer than they were before they won the lottery. And we're going to be speaking briefly again about that in a little while. So let's start from the basic rule of financial success. It's actually one very simple rule. The basic rule of financial success is that you should make more money than you spend. That's it. So that is financial education 101, and the financial education ends there. Make more money than you spend. If you paid school fee and they said that and you got it, you can go home now, you've graduated. So for the next 7 minutes or so, we're going to break down what that really implies in an age appropriate way so that you will really get it. There are a number of things inside make more money than you spend. One of them that we're going to be talking about today is to be prepared to make money. You don't just make money because you have a pretty face. You make money because you have a capacity which which people will pay you money to get. Either you went to school and got some education and you got a job, or you learned a trade or an art or skill and you do some work, and they pay you money. To prepare to be able to make that money is one thing we want to talk about today. The second thing we want to talk about is, now that you've made the money, you've prepared, you got a job or you got a trade and you're making the money. The second principle, the first principle is what? prepare to make the money. Second principle is the principle of the remainder. What remains is what matters, not how much you make. And the third principle we're going to talk about briefly this evening is the principle of credit. What is credit? One way to understand credit is debt, the thing you borrow, the money you borrow and spend or do something with it that you haven't earned yet. So let's go back to the beginning. How do you prepare today to be able to make money? Why is preparation important? I can take you back to when you were in the womb, when you were in your mommy's belly. You were in there preparing to be able to come out and walk around and run and hold hands and eat food. But when you were in there, you were forming your legs, you were forming your hands, you were forming your nose to be able to breathe, and your mouth. You didn't wait till you need to breathe to form your nose. You didn't need to walk around inside your mommy's tummy, except you were kicking your mom once in a while. Go ask her and say, thank you, mom, for enduring all those several months of kicking my tummy. It's actually very painful sometimes. But you are just kicking your mom in the tummy because you can't wait to come out. However, you didn't need to walk yet until you were born. But you grew the legs, you grew the lungs, you grew the nose, you grew the eyes to be able to see. You were preparing to move around on earth while you were in the tummy. That's how fundamentally important preparation is. If you wait until you need to use that leg to begin growing a leg, everybody's going to leave you behind. And that is why now that you are 5 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old, you are now preparing to be relevant in the workforce, to be able to get a job, to be able to work, to be able to learn a trade. You are going to school. Why are you going to school? They just told me to go. You don't go to school just so that winter will smite your nose and burn off your ears and your mommy will yell at you at 5 a.m. so that you can wake up. That's not why you go to school. You go to school to prepare to be economically viable so that somebody will offer you a job so you can start a business so you can make money. So you see, preparation that you are doing now is important for the make money part of the rule. Make more money than you spend. What do you need to do now to prepare for getting a job, for being economically relevant in the future? One of them is to build up your resume. The resume is the little thing, the document you write, you present to employers to say, this is my name, these are the things I can do for your company. It's like advertising yourself, and you build your resume with everything you've accomplished throughout life. So you're going to write that you went to social school, one or two other things that you need to be able to do to enrich your resume. Richer resumes get better jobs. One of the things you need to be doing now to enrich your resume is to volunteer. Do some volunteer work, do charity work, contribute in the community where you belong to. And when you are volunteering, you need to demonstrate character. I've seen some kids who go to volunteer and they are doing it like that. It's not, I'm not even paid. Oh, I'm not even a worker. Oh, I don't even need to do this. Oh, my parents urged me. You need to bring your A game to the volunteering, because in the next few years, when you are looking for a job, the places where you are volunteering will be writing you references saying, I know this boy, I know this girl, she walks on water, he can fly. They need to know that now that you are volunteering with them. Don't be a slacker, don't be late, don't go and be lying, have good integrity, character. So somebody will say, even if you call on them in 10 years, oh, write me a reference, I'm looking for this job. They say, oh yes, that kid is a wonderful one. You need to be preparing now for the future of your economic relevance. Let's talk briefly about remainder. When you now get that job, they could pay you $1,000. They could pay you $10,000. They could pay you $100,000. But I'm suggesting to you now that it doesn't even matter how much they pay you. What matters to your financial success is how much remains. The remainder is all that matters. If you were in a live classroom now, I would have asked you to repeat it. The remainder is all that matters. I can assure you that if you give 10 people $100,000 each, okay, let's just say $10,000 each. 10 people, $10,000 each, 10,000 each, and 100,000 total. And you give them a year to do whatever they like with it. The one that will be the richest of them will be who? At the end of December, the one that spent the least will be the richest of those 10 people. The others, all of you were equally rich in January, but now one has emerged the richest. How? Because the most money remained in his hand. So when you are going through life, don't bother about your paycheck. Don't bother about how much you have. Don't go to Cancun 20 times for vacation because you landed this big job. Don't increase you go to a restaurant, you buy a drink for everybody. You don't even know them because you're demonstrating that you are cool. You want to buy a car that will help you for conveyance. Your neighbor buys a bigger car. You go and buy a bigger car. All those, we do them a lot. The problem is, in the end of the day, you are not having financial success, not because you didn't get a lot of money, but because you spent more than you needed to. Remember the one rule for financial success: make more money than you spend. So the remainder is all that matters. If you show me anybody that is rich now, you're going to say, oh, he spends so much money. Oh, he donates so much money. Oh, he does all that. Oh, he drives this flashy car. That's how people think that people are rich. No, some of them are owing. They are borrowing and spending, and one day they are bankrupt. Some of them even get jailed because of fraud. If you show me somebody's remainder, I will tell you who is rich or not. Plan from today to make your money remain. Don't buy that double cone ice cream because your mommy gave you $20 or your uncle gave you $15. Buy all you need and keep as much as possible to remain. It's called savings, but I just want to call it remainder today. The last thing I would like to talk to you about today is credit. You are making money, you are spending some and keeping some remainder. But if you lose control of that remainder, the principle of the remainder, you're going to need more money than you are making. You're already breaking the rule of financial success. You make more money than you spend. Now you're spending more money than you make. The problem is, to do that, you have to borrow. When you are borrowing from your future self. My suggestion for anybody who is going to take a loan to borrow money, just know that you are borrowing from your future self. Therefore, what you want to use that money for has to be something that benefits your future self. Consider your future self a different person than you. You are the governor, you are the administrator, you are like the mayor of your future self. You are managing his money on trust. When the future arrives and he says, what did you do with my money? It better show him the house you bought for him with that money. Better show him the car you bought for him with that money. Better show him the investment you made in your education. They tell your future self, you are more educated now, you are smarter now because I borrowed that money. He has to benefit from it, or otherwise that credit is mismanaged. For instance, you borrow money and go and have a good time, and I'm not against having a good time. If you look at me, you will notice that I kind of have a good time once in a while too. But if you borrow money and squander at a party, and what is remaining for your future self is a hangover, you are defrauding your future self. Credit, somebody's laughing. Brian, sorry. Credit, that should only be used in the situations where you need to invest in your future self. Your future self should get dividend. So what are we saying to you today? The only rule of financial success is make more money than you spend. Today, you prepare to make that money, not when you now need that money. Your parents are bailing you out now. Some programs are helping you out now, but you can't wait until you need that money before you prepare. That's why you go to school. That's why school is a purpose-driven thing, not just doing it for go through the motions because we're young and young people are supposed to be in school. No, you are preparing for a purposeful economic future. When you start making that money, you need to remember all the time, when you get your paycheck, the richer person is the one that has a larger remainder, not the one that got more paid, a larger paycheck. And lastly, whenever you need to borrow, ask yourself, if I'm borrowing from my future self, what is he getting out of this money? One little thing that comes out of it is remember to pay your debt. Because if you don't pay your debt, you have what they call a poor credit history. Some people won't even give you a job if you have a poor credit record. You may not run for office in certain situations if you don't have a good credit history. For instance, police, if you mess up your credit, you can't work for the police and a number of offices. So if you borrow, you should pay your debt according to how agreed. There are other things we can talk about with the grown-ups regarding debt and credit management, but let's just leave it at this. Prepare today to make more money and spend less. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm just here to coordinate, but I'm also like really, value has been added to me.
Hands up from Leslie.
Yes,
Leslie has a question.
Yes, I shall. Yes, you can go ahead, please, Leslie. Unmute yourself and you can ask your question, please.
Why do you have to have good credit to be a police officer?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Why do you have to have good credit to become a police officer?
Oh, okay.
I will give you a quick answer, but I would like the police officer in our midst to give a more authoritative answer. My thinking is that there are a number of expectations that police have for who will be their officer. One of them is a character thing. Another one is that you need to be above reproach. So I'll give you an example. If you are struggling with finances and you are owing and you need money and you can't pay your debt and you are already exposing yourself to the possibility of somebody tempting you with a bribe or something. They feel that it goes to character. You are having a self-control problem. If it happens to finance, they feel that it could happen to other things, and I agree. And if you have an apparent dire need for money, if you watch all these police movies, you're going to see that the ones that all these drug pushers and so on and organized crime, the police officers they target most are the ones who have dire financial needs. But I'll let the police officer give us the authoritative answer.
I 100% agree with Peter. As a police officer, we're given a lot of responsibility. And if you have bad credit, first of all, more than likely you won't be hired, like Peter said. But if you get bad credit because you make some poor choices once you become a police officer, it opens the door for you, because it's very stressful when you owe money to other people and that you can't pay your bills. And sometimes in every profession, there's some people that make poor choices in their profession. And I can't say in police work, there are police officers that do make some poor choices as well. And if they're feeling the stress financially, there may be opportunity for them to do something criminal, because we're given so many responsibilities. And so they may do some type of criminal act to try to get out of debt. And then, of course, they're subject to being charged and arrested and going to court and possibly jail time too. So when I started becoming a police officer, I had to go through an interview. And part of my interview process was talking about my financial backgrounds and the monies that I owed to different, whether it was credit card debt, whether it was student loans or otherwise. And it definitely played a part on being hired. Luckily, I didn't have any debt, so that was not an issue for me. But for some people trying to become police officers, it definitely is a hindrance, because there are some people that could try to blackmail you or persuade you to do something that's illegal to try to get money faster than the good old-fashioned way of just working for a living. So I agree with Peter 100% what he said.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. There's so many other questions, but time is not our friend. I would just say there was a question, if you can, there was a question regarding first of all, Leslie, did that answer your question? I just want to make sure that we got that. Leslie, if you're there, you can just text or give me a
Yes,
thumbs up.
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you again for joining us from all the way in Nunavut. It's amazing. All right. So
Thank you for having me.
absolutely. So the question that came in, I don't know how you can answer this in 1 minute, Peter, but that would be great if
Yes,
you
I
can.
will. Yes, the question about big paycheck.
No, not that. The question about it was privately sent to me. So I just wanted, this is the question. I have a question for Mr. Obiefuna. I just wanted to ask what part it took to become a lawyer. I know this is big, but if there's a way to just squeeze it in a minute or something,
Yes,
that'd be great.
in Alberta, to become a lawyer, you do a first degree in any subject of your choice. It could be philosophy, it could be science, it could be any subject you like. Most people do their research and do a first degree in a subject that will give them a high GPA, because that GPA is important for getting admitted to read law. Then after that, you can apply to one of the law schools in Canada. But I went to become a lawyer after I was like 54 years old. I took a leave of absence from my regular job and went back to school to study law. I went to London, England to study law, and all I needed to do in that case was I gave them all my credentials. I have worked for so many years in a computer firm. I've taught in the university. I have a PhD, Doctor of Philosophy, and they use that to grant me admission without needing to write an entrance exam. So mine is a special pathway, but for a student looking to read law in Canada, you would do a first degree of your choice, then you use that, make a very good grade, and apply to read law.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. And then finally, just one question. So that's the favor and blessing question regarding bigger pay, spending. Yeah, so if you could please respond to that, just a few comments,
Yes,
and then we'll move on to
thank
the
you.
next point.
That question is really very important, and I'm looking for a way to make the answer really clear. It is true that if you have a lot of money, there's likelihood, well, it's easier for more to remain. But relying on having a lot of money to be able to save is problematic for two major reasons. One reason is that most of us, most humans don't start making a big paycheck. No matter where, most people start small, and then your paycheck increases as you get better and better. So you can't defer saving and keeping money for rainy day until you make a big paycheck. And the second reason is relativity. How much is big? How big is big of a paycheck? What I would notice, anybody here who earns money will tell you, especially if you have family, if you're making $2,000 a month, you somehow manage to survive on $2,000. If they give you a big windfall and you suddenly start making $4,000 a month, the other $2,000 doesn't kind of remain. You find your needs creep up to fill that gap. If you're a woman, your husband will be asking for a little more drinks for the visitors. You know, a man, your wife will be saying, you know, you never bought me shoes when you were making minimum wage. Now you have a better job. Please buy your wife shoes now. You say you love me. And, you know, this is our decrepit car. I'm embarrassed by this car. We keep pushing it when we're going to church. Can we change our car? When you make a bigger paycheck, your existing needs will show themselves, like they pop up like a mole, and then new needs will come. Not to mention new friends, and if you're from Africa, new relatives from Africa, even the ones you don't know, they'll show up from nowhere. They'll bug you on WhatsApp. Everybody wants to get their hands on that extra money you are making. So the better principle is take what you are making, cut your needs according to that, and put something away for the rainy day.
Thank you so much, sir. That is powerful. And we have so many more questions, but yeah, so we'll move on now. So thank you very much.
Question. Somebody's asking, what kind of lawyer are you? One blessing and favor saying, what kind of lawyer are you, sir?
I was, right now, I reduced my practice to just do wills and estate. Wills and estate is like helping people to prepare wills for how to distribute their property when they are gone. And that's just what I reduced. my practice. But before that, I was practicing family and immigration law, and I also did some civil law and contracts and so on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I just find it amazing how when I look at what I have, I see doctor, and then I hear finances, and I just see like just the plethora of I guess disciplines or exposure that you bring. It's just amazing. Oh my goodness, there are more questions coming. We'll take this last one, and then we'll proceed with the next thing we have on our item, sir.
May I suggest this? Helen can collect all the questions that we couldn't handle today and send them to me, and I can give my answers, and she can distribute it to the persons that registered for the event, so that we don't derail the rest of the program.
Thank you.
For sure, absolutely, absolutely. So so we're gonna do that, and then to basically wrap this up as we have done all the while. I tried to come up with a difficult question, but sorry, you explained everything too clearly. I couldn't hide anywhere to find a difficult question. So this is my question. Please pay attention. I would only say it twice. And this is the question. And of course, when you win, you get a prize. So complete this statement with 4 words. Put it in the chat. Complete the following statement with 4 words. That was one of the things that were said today. What remains is what matters. Complete that statement with 4 words. What remains is what matters. Ta, 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 ta. Let's see who was paying attention. No, it's 4 words, 4 words. So, Ebele, I'm sorry, that's not it. And T, not this time, sorry. What remains is what matters. Ta, 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 ta. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 words. Make what you make doesn't. No. And this is a direct quote from today's. This is not just a random. This is the direct quote from today's. From Sir Peter. What remains is what matters. Ta 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 ta. Because you will reach. Amen to that, but that's not the 4 words. No, not less. Okay. Sister Ellen, can I also have a prize if I get the right answer? Oh.
You can't be getting the prize. You are the boss now.
This is really fun. I'm glad to see it's more competitive this time for your future self. Good ideas, but that was not a quote. What remains is what matters. Ta ta. Okay, I'll give you the first word and then 3 words. So I'll give you the first word and then you have to guess the last 3 words. What remains is what matters, not ta 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 ta. That's all I can do. Okay, there you go. Sinzi. I forgive your typo, but I know what you're trying to say, not what you made. That's exactly right. So whoever is Sinzi got the right answer. So T got the first one, and Sinze, I'm calling it Sinzi. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Got the correct answer on that one.
Awesome. I will text Sinzi now so that we'll give them their gift card later. So Sinzi, okay, not what you make. Okay, so Sinzi, right? S-I. Awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, thank you once again. So this is amazing. I wish you had more time. Even myself would have questions and everything, but this is really awesome. So just so we can kind of stretch ourselves a little bit, we're gonna take like a 3-minute break. We'll all be back at 4:07 exactly on the dot, and we'll resume at that point, and we'll be having some really interesting conversations with Ifoma, Moriah, and Brian. It's going to be great. I hope I can have some hard questions for them, but make sure you're back on time. 4:07, we would continue with this. So just take a quick water break or whatever else you need to do, and we'll start right at 4:07.
Yeah, so you can just, the kids, we said they have snacks here. You can grab a snack, you can grab water, you can just stretch yourself, and just, so the minutes will just go by very fast. Stretch, grab one of your snack from your snack bags that you collected, and we'll keep moving. Oh, somebody says, can we give the gift card to our favorite persons? And I'm just laughing here. Victor, you have to make it easy a little bit.
Oh boy, the 7 was way too easy, and then I realized that that was not a good idea. So we are changing it up. So and I think I figured out a way to play the video properly now.
Okay, so when we come back the next time, you can play the video, we'll continue.
I think you're muted, Victor, or you can't be heard.
Oh, thank you so much. This is so funny because my microphone, I can hear myself through my mic. So I assume everyone else could hear me. I forgot to unmute there. Thank you so much there. So what I'm saying is, yes, once we get back in 2 minutes, I will play the welcome greeting from the mayor. I think I should have clicked an audio sound somewhere in the system, but we will do that and then continue with the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Helen, I sent you a chat if you can hear me. I sent a chat to you.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, yes. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. So kids, you've stretched. We're gonna be going to people. Sinzi should be Veronique and Severan's son. Am I correct? Okay, awesome. Sinzi, I'll write it here so that you will come take your $15 McDonald's gift cards. That's what we're giving out today.
This is not fair that I don't get to participate in this. I've worked out all my life just to be able to eligible things like this. Okay, it is 4:07 on the dot. We will start right away. And to resume this session, we will be having conversations with Ifoma, with Moriah and Brian. I'm really, really excited to hear the amazing things that they're doing and how they got here. But before we do that, I will now play the welcome greeting I tried to play earlier on. I'll play the welcome greeting from the mayor, and I believe that now when we click the share sound, it should include everything that we need. So I assume everyone is back here. We will play the video and go from there. Here we go.
Hello, everyone, and especially you kids that are in attendance today. My name is Kathy Heron. I'm the mayor of the city of St. Albert.
What do you mean? I was here and I was like, how come you guys didn't know what I say?
Victor, can you stop and let's pause everybody? Can you stop? Let's pause everybody. Somebody's talking, have their sound on, and it's going.
So I've muted everyone now. So please stay muted unless you are one of the people speaking, please, just so we can keep this orderly and keep to time. Thank you so much, Sister Ellen. So I will play the video once again. I believe everyone should be muted now. I'll play the video once again and we'll go. Please stay muted unless you're speaking, please. Everyone, please stay muted. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and especially you kids that are in attendance today. My name is Kathy Heron. I'm the mayor of the city of St. Albert. I was asked to film a quick introductions and a hello. I got to say, I'm really sad that I couldn't be with you today. Many of you probably are aware we just came through a municipal election, and so to be quite honest with you, the reason I'm not with you today is I'm in the mountains. I needed a little bit of downtime after a busy campaign and jumping into the next 4 years with my new council. On another note, I'm just so happy that you guys are having another youth event here in St. Albert. I think it's so important to be able to engage and connect with the youth in St. Albert. They really are the future. St. Albert tends to have an aging population, and people are always argue, well, we should be taking care of the seniors. And my counter argument is we should be taking care of the youth, because no matter what percentage of the population is our young kids, they are 100% of our future. So you guys are so fortunate to be having another event today. I just want you to know that you're very well loved in our community. especially by myself and council, and anything we can do to support you as you go through life with whether it be school or volunteer opportunities or getting involved with some of the civic responsibilities in the city. We're here to help. And so have a great time this afternoon. Hope it's not only informative, but hopefully a lot of fun for you guys as well. And I promise to be at the very next one. So have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Well, there is the message from the mayor, and we're so thankful to have our support. And I believe the previous year we had this, she was there in person, and I was also there. It's just amazing to see that support. And like Councillor Ray mentioned earlier, we are very confident in the support we get there and the interest that there is for our community. So, and that's very appreciated. So, and we will now continue in the interest of time. Make sure, as I said earlier, I've said it many times, continue to pay attention. There'll be more questions out of this, and I'm sure that there'll be value added to you as well. So welcome again, Ifeoma, Moriah, and Brian. How are you all doing today? Ifeoma, you can go first.
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm Ifeoma, and I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome, thank you so much. Moriah, how is it going?
It's going wonderful. I think this is really informative.
Absolutely. Mr. Brian?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks.
Perfect. So today we're looking at basically your experience with school. So we've heard from Mr. Dennis, from a perspective of architecture and industry. Right now, we've also heard from Constable MJ. We've heard from Sir Peter. We've heard from that kind of, let me say, that perspective. And now, I feel like you're like you guys are kind of like in the halfway between, let me say, Ashland, looking at me right now, between Ashland and, let's say, some of the older people. So you kind of bridge that gap. And that's why I'm really excited to be able to talk with you guys about what school looks like for you and some of the things that you're currently doing. So I'll just start with you, Brian. So what has been your, I believe you had a different, you started school not necessarily in Canada. You kind of had a different background, but once you started here, what did school look like? What was different for you from your previous background, in terms of your education? What were the things that stood out to you in terms of difference once you started schooling here at Natia? McEwan, sorry.
Yeah. So the big difference was definitely the pace of things. Like one day it's okay, start of class, the next minute you have like 3 assignments due for each class, or probably 3 different classes, and then the next minute you have 2 midterms or 3 midterms in the same week. So the pace is a lot. It's faster than it was in high school, definitely. So and also a lot of work, and having to cooperate with people in group works. You may meet people who are not very good at group work and they don't really want to put any effort. Some people just put in the bare minimum, but the max is going to be for everyone. So you have to really put in and just disregard if they're not doing their job, just finish everything and get the full marks. And, if you benefit, that is great because you'll all benefit. So group members is also like a big thing. It's also a big problem, especially if you have multiple classes and people are not really always available to meet at the same time. Some people have many excuses to not meet. That's a big challenge as well. But the big problem is the pace of work. That was a big difference.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing is, the ability to, learn quickly, be nimble kind of thing, like be able to think on your feet and be able to work with people. That's one of the things that has really stood out to you in terms of your work there. So Ifeoma, I was just going to ask you, so so imagine that I am in grade 6 and I look up to Auntie Ifeoma as my mentor, you know what I mean? What would you tell me in terms of, because I understand right now you're in your first year at the University of Alberta, right?
Yes.
Yes. So that is a huge jump from from high school, in my opinion anyways. But from a grade 6, grade 7, grade 8 perspective, is there anything at all that I can do to begin to prepare for university? Or is that something that I must wait till, I'm in grade 11 and then at that point I can begin to prepare? What does that kind of, having that university on my horizon, in front of me somewhere, how do I begin to think about that in such a younger grade?
Right. Yeah. So what I would say is in a younger grade like that, a lot of the things that people tend to put off is that like they don't really know what they're going to do, or that it's so far away, or there's so many years to come. When you're in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you have at least 4 years ahead of you, and you're like, I have all this time. But really, what you have is right now, and everything you're doing right now kind of plays such a huge part in where you're going to be it university or whatever else is out there for you. So my biggest piece of advice is that the steps you take, there are many steps to take right now that can help you. And one of those things is like, it's small things like remaining on the honor roll at your school. That's something that Mr. Peter that spoke before me said that, your resume, that's something that you can put on your resume, and that's something that will help you in the future. So I highly recommend doing that. And also understanding the things that you need to do to make yourself successful, because not everyone learns the same way. And you're going to have a variety of teachers. You're going to have a variety of, people that you're going to interact with, like Brian said, group projects, or, pace is going to be different in different situations. So knowing how you learn will completely transform your experience no matter where you find yourself, because you'll be prepared to know what you need to do to be successful. So I think right now, where you are in middle school, elementary school, early high school, is observing your learning pattern, and also, investing in making sure that you're academically sound, to make sure that that foundation is prepared for whatever is coming next, is what I would say.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really like what you said in terms of making sure the foundation is ready for what is coming next, because I think about when opportunity meets preparation, as they say, right? So one thing I was going to ask you, Ifeoma, is you kind of mentioned resume. I came to Canada in 2013-ish. And around that time, when people talk about getting a job, they tell me, oh, you need a resume. And I look at it, I say, this is resume. What do you mean resume? I didn't even know what a resume is. So basically, I don't want to assume everyone on this call knows what a resume is. So I also know that you were involved in some extracurricular stuff outside of school. So I was just wondering if in one answer, you can kind of address what is a resume, and also you can address some of the things you should have on your resume, including school stuff and outside of school stuff.
Right. So a resume, it's basically this small, condensed, brief document of everything you've done that will help you get a job, get the job, whatever job it might be. And it's something that complements your application. So it's your education, it's your work experience, it's your volunteer experience, it's your hobbies, it's your skills. It's the things that you do in your daily life that might be applicable, that might help you in the workforce, depending on, regardless of whatever workforce you find yourself in. Some of the things that you engage in that you would be surprised would be things that will be helpful. So like athleticism, sports, extracurriculars, you're interested in sewing, and suddenly you find yourself in working a job that little hobby now assists you in that job. So while you're in high school, you'll work, because you're working jobs that don't require a degree. You're working in retail or fast food or whatever. So while you're in high school, putting these things on your resume helps you a lot. And so that's what I would call a resume. A resume is just a catalog of everything that you can say for yourself. That's what I would say. And to your question about what I did to aid in my resume is that I spent, in my years in high school, I spent a lot of time doing a variety of extracurriculars, and I put a lot of emphasis on the variety. And I think it's very important to dabble in a lot of different things, and that helps you be a more diverse candidate for whatever job, because you kind of have your fingers dipped in very, very different areas of study, and you also find out what you like and what you don't like. And I think it helps you in that regard too. Absolutely, I fully agree. I think what Ifeoma is saying is that you want to expose yourself to doing lots of different types of things. That would do two things for you. That would mean you have something to put on your resume.
And in addition to that, you'd help you learn about yourself. And then from learning about yourself, you can do other things as well. Thank you so much, Ifema.
Thank
So
you.
Mariah, I will quickly come to you. Time is not our friend. Okay, so excellence, how do I begin to think excellence? From again, I'm trying to use the perspective of most of the people on the call. I still, thinking about like schoolwork. I get by, I do all right, but why should I be thinking beyond just passing the class? Or why should I be thinking beyond just passing the exam? Why should I be thinking, having an excellent mindset in everything I do, not just in some areas? And also, while you speak about that, can you kind of briefly discuss what your biochemistry experience has been so far at the University of Alberta, something like that? So I don't know, you're going to marry those two together, but if you can just speak to that effect, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's really important to think excellence because everyone your age, everyone around you is going to try to find the easy way out, to try to say, let me see what I can do in the least way to get what I need to get done, right? But if you are average in a sea of average people, then there's no guarantee that you'll be picked for what you want to be picked, like for university. And excellence, it can compound a lot of things. You can be excellent in your grades or in who you are as a person, but it's really important for you to be confident in who you are and in your abilities. So what can help with that is to set goals, the timeline. A goal without a timeline or a plan of action is just a wish, right? So instead of saying, oh, I want to get better grades or I want to be a better friend, which is a great start, tell yourself, okay, this is how I'm going to be a better friend or how I'm going to get better grades. And if you need guidance, the adults in your life have been there, done that, So always ask for help when you need it. For me personally, what I did to ensure my spot in university was I looked for a lot of research opportunities that had to do with U of A, because everyone in my school had averages of 90s to 100%. So even if I had an average of 96, how was I going to be sure that I would get in, right? So what I did was I looked for research opportunities. I contacted professors, people that I knew that worked at U of A, and I got a spot in their research facility. And I did a lot of fun projects. And that is a way that you can keep your name in the back of their minds when they're looking at your admissions, right? And also make sure that when you're in grade 10s to 11 to 12, that you're looking at your prerequisites. Like Speaker Fiona said, you need to take steps now that will impact what you do in the future, right? So some courses in university will require you to have taken physics 30 or calculus. And you can't just take that immediately before you go into college. You need to take the classes before then, like math 20, then math 30, then calculus, right? So make sure that you are taking those classes appropriately. And if you don't know what you want to do, then just make sure that you have enough classes that you can take a few options in college. And yeah, I'd say learn your studying strategy. It's really important to know how you study. If you said, you need to know how you learn so you can be successful in life. And that's what I would suggest.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh boy. Okay. So there's a question here. I would direct this to Brian. And do connections actually favor and blessing? If you can expand on your question, I don't want to assume. Okay. So there's a question from Sam, and then there's a question from Favor and Blessing. So Favor and Blessing, please expand on your question in the text. I'm not sure what you're asking really. So Sam, the question from Sam, as you can see, how many extracurricular would you suggest doing in high school? Or maybe to rephrase that question and make it more generic, what kinds of extracurricular, how do you choose extracurriculars to do out in high school environment? So I would ask this to Brian.
So this will be very different. I'll probably not be the best person to do this because in high school I was mostly extracurricular activities did not really matter a lot for us because it's not like I knew that I was coming to Canada. I did my high school in Kenya, so they didn't really matter a lot. I was more focused on academics and getting higher grades because higher grades were mostly what were used to get you to university. So I focused more on that. So I'll probably not be the best person to speak on that.
Thank you so much. So Ifoma, I will direct that question to you.
Hi. So extracurriculars, it's a very interesting avenue that, there's a lot, it's very broad. And I think that's one of the, one of the great things about it, one of the difficult things about it, because it's like, okay, there's so many options. It's like, what do I do? But also, which one is the best option to do? And while I was in high school, I can tell you what I did. So I have been an air cadet for 7 years. I joined Air Cadets when I was 12 years old, and I've been in the program, and I'm expected to graduate. I'm supposed to age out this year. And that was one thing that I did that has helped me so much. It has given me a plethora of opportunities. It's helped me to diversify my high school educational, extracurricular, volunteer experience, because it was this thing that I joined that kind of gave me all these opportunities. I was able to go on many excursions and trips. I learned so much about, the Air Force. And so if I wanted to dabble in the military, I could do that. But also if I wanted to get a variety of licenses, a pilot's license, a glider's license, I could also do that. And, I had so many volunteer opportunities that I didn't even have to seek volunteer opportunities. They kind of came to me. So we would always have opportunity to volunteer in St. Albert and in the community. We would clean the airport. We would, help out at events in St. Albert. So I didn't really have to search for volunteer opportunities, bottle drives, stuff like that. So that was one thing that I did that I'm so grateful that I was able to be part of that. And the unique thing about it is that it's also free, because extracurricular is also expensive. So Air Cadets is one thing I did. And I volunteer at my church. So at my parish, I help out with the children's liturgy on Sundays, at least before the pandemic when we went to church in person. And that was something that I did. And, I was already at church on Sunday, and I just kind of would help out with the kids, and it gave me an opportunity to work with children. And that's something I can put on my resume. And so that if I was applying for a job that, required work with children, I have experience in that regard. And another thing that I did in high school is that I was grad president, and it was like a job in itself. And the whole thing was just such a huge learning experience while planning the commencement ceremony for my graduating class, and working with event planners and going to meetings, organizing meetings, collaborating with other students, because I was a co-president. So I was responsible for a lot of the things that went into the final event. And so I would say making sure that you're involved in your school, because by nature, being involved in your school, those things are going to become volunteer experiences. And if your school has an Interact club, at least my high school did, it was basically a club that focused on getting you volunteer experience. And I joined the Interact club in my high school when I started out, and we would volunteer at like senior homes and stuff. So it was just very easy. In the evening, we'd spend like an hour with the seniors, help them out in the senior home and stuff like that. I would also recommend even just doing things like, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Your high school will have, different high schools will have different clubs and teams and all those things outside of schoolwork. And I recommend looking at that and exploring what the options are at your school, because that will help you a lot. And student union is another one. So I was part of student union in junior high, and I also dabbled in student union in high school. And that's one that you are constantly planning different school events. And it's not that your extracurriculars have to eat up too much time of your time for academics, but it helps you also learn to manage your time, balance different things, plan better. And so to summarize, or to, come to a conclusion, I would say to have at least 2 extracurricular activities, and you can combine them differently. You can do a sport and a job, or you can do a sport and a student union, or you can do student union and being an air cadet, or and mixing different things. And if you start something and you don't like it, you can always do something else and try other things, and you collect experiences along the way. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. In the interest of time, I would say that if you have more questions, feel free to put it in the chat. The questions that we're not able to get to today, we're gonna compile the questions and send it to Ifoma, Morai, and Brian, and make sure that the answers get sent to everyone involved. Because of time, we just can't cover all of the all of the possible questions that we have here. But I'll just take two more things from this session and then we move on to the next part. So there is a question, the last question we are yet to address here from Zinat. So I'm just going to read it and then I'll open it up to anyone on the panel here to, any of the three of you, I mean, to try to address that. My name is Amal. I am going to grade 10 next year. I am an honors student and I am not sure whether to take AP or IB as I don't know which will give me more credit to go to the university. I plan to eventually study law, essentially. Go to school to study law. So go to law school. So I don't know if any of you, because that's pretty specific in terms of AP and IB. So I don't know if any one of you want to dabble into that and then we'll go on.
Well, I know that IB classes do give credit to universities, but AP is just harder classes. So I would recommend if you want to have credit for future courses in university, take IB. But if you just want to look for the source that will give you the highest average, that is dependent on you. So if you're sure that you can study well, get good grades in IB and get those credits, then for sure do that. I have some classmates who took IB classes and I'm jealous of them because I wish I could have the credits that they have. So yeah, it's all dependent on you.
Absolutely. Ifeoma, please.
I took AP classes in high school and I did IB in junior high. And I will say that AP does give you university credits and they are harder classes. I think the difference, well, for the person that asked the question was AP is advanced placement and IB is international baccalaureate. And basically IB is more useful if you're going to study internationally. So if you plan to study abroad, I would recommend IB, and also IB prepares you for the workload of post-secondary school. So if you are planning to go to law school, because we are in Canada, if you plan on going to law school in Canada, if you're choosing between AP and IB, I say you weigh them in the balance, but I would recommend AP because AP will give you university credits while also giving you more difficult material to work with so that when you get into university, you're more prepared to get that higher GPA to get into law school because you need that first degree and then, get into law school. But if you plan on studying abroad where you can study law as a first degree in other countries, then do IB and you can, go to a different country like the UK or somewhere else, study law at Oxford for explore, the possibilities are endless. So I say you have to weigh things in the balance and consider the pros and cons for your situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you so much. I just wanted to echo something that was sent to me privately, that because we have people from different backgrounds, different parts joining us, different backgrounds, both in terms of where they are joining us from and also where they are in the academic career path, that we should try to elaborate on the abbreviations like advanced placement versus AP, things like that. So we don't have time, so we would go on to the next part. But just before we do, I will ask, thank you so much again. Thank you so much, Ifeoma, Murai, and Brian. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your ideas and thoughts. I have really enjoyed this thoroughly. Brian, I will put you on the spot here to wrap this up. So imagine you're standing in front of the world and you have 1 minute to deliver a message. So what would that message be? A 1 minute message to the world at large in terms of what has been discussed today, to kind of summarize some of the things we've discussed today in terms of student experience, building your resume and thinking excellence and things of that nature.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. And so I would say, do your best with everything that you have at the moment and with the time you have, because it will always pass. So if you have the opportunity to get good grades and or get an experience with something, do it now and do it to your best and give it your all. So yeah, I think you just do your best in everything that in everything that you do. And I had a very good. Like someone mentioned something where an opportunity meets I don't remember.
Preparation meets opportunity.
Yes, yeah, where preparation meets opportunity. That is a very good quote, because that is actually exactly what happened to me. I was not really planning to come to Canada, but I did well in my high school and got good grades. So my sponsor parents decided to, it was a good preparation and I got good grades. So they thought it was a good idea to bring me and get better education. So it was an opportunity that was met by preparation. So I would really urge everyone to do your best, because you never know what opportunity may fall your way next time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Perfect. Okay, so I will just before we move on to the next part here. Sorry, Nikki, I just put you on so fast here. There's the question, as we always do, and this is the question. So the questions are from the sessions, but they're not necessarily from what the speaker said. Now, this is the question for the previous session. The first answer obviously gets the point. In what year did Victor come to Canada? Victor is this guy right here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I was actually hoping that everyone will be focused on what the speakers are saying so they forget what I said. So I thought people won't remember.
They were all...
Oh my goodness. I'm feeling very embarrassed here. I need to come up with something difficult.
That means people are paying attention.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I guess Shane gets the point. Shane gets the point. This is amazing. I don't know what to tell you guys.
Who is the first person?
Shane is the first person.
You're the first person that texted, right?
Yes, that is Shane.
Yes, Shane to everyone. Yes, Shane is the first person.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Okay, so we will now go in here. Thank you so much, Nikki, for being with us today. I'm really excited to hear your presentation. So Nikki is joining us, as he said in the introduction there, as the youth asset worker with the City of St. Albert. And he'll be giving a brief presentation on 40 assets every child should have. So Nikki, the floor is yours. Feel free. Thank you.
Okay, hi there, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well today. Yeah, hi. So I'm Nikki Lumley, and I am the youth asset worker. And I believe everyone would have gotten like a pamphlet about asset development. And that's really good to just grab out because we might be referring to it a little bit. And if you don't have it, I have a really good, I'm just going to put in the chat here, really good website that you can look at that will discuss a little bit of the assets. But without further ado, I'll just explain what my job is and then discuss what the 40 developmental assets are. So yeah, my job is just to discuss and educate youth on what the 40 developmental assets are and how important they are to have in your life. So the 40 developmental assets are a framework that was made through the Search Institute, and they consist of preventive measures, positive experiences, and qualities that people need to grow up healthy, caring, and responsible. These assets are protective factors that have consistently shown through research that they just really help with preventing risky behavior. So there are 40 different assets in total, and they're split up into two different categories, which are external and internal. So just to give a little bit of an explanation of the two, I won't go into all the assets because we definitely don't have time for that. But an external asset is more based on things that are in your surrounding area. So like the people in your lives, the events you go to, those kind of things are more so what an external asset is. So for example, there is one called Caring Neighborhood. So do you talk to your neighbors? Do you help them out? Do they help you out when you need help? Do you plan like little get-togethers and that kind of stuff? So that would be an example of an external asset. While an internal asset would more so be like personal growth and things you do, not necessarily alone, but things that you do to develop skills and that kind of stuff in your personal life. So for example, my favorite asset is reading for pleasure. And it's basically, do you take time out of your day every day to just pick up a book that you're not required to read, but you just, you know what, put down your phone, put down your computer, and just take a few hours to read. So that's kind of what an internal asset is. Now you may be wondering, well, this is cool and all, but like, what's the purpose? Why do we need to know what these are? Well, research does show that people that have over 30 assets have stronger personal connections, participate in less risky behaviors, and overall have a greater outlook of their lives and are more positive about things. And it's definitely really good to look into these assets. So as I put the link into the chat and also the pamphlets that we were giving out, these have the different assets. Now, in your own time, I definitely recommend, even now, just like going through it and looking at all of the assets and just counting how many you have, just to see, and also just read on each one, just to see what they are about. Do you have it? Do you not? And see if there's ways you can get that asset. And like, obviously, like you might be reading it and be like, oh, wow, I really don't have many assets, or I don't have like over 30. Is that like not a great thing? I just want to make that very clear that it's completely fine, because everyone has different lives. They have different experiences, all that fun stuff. So just because you might not have as many as like your peers or like anyone else, doesn't mean that you're like lower in the aspect of the assets, because you just might be working towards them at a different pace than everyone else, which is completely fine. So I think what's the most important part about the assets, though, is just being aware of them, because the more that you're aware of them and like talking about them, the more you're just going to naturally build on them. For example, if let's say you want to, there's an asset called creative activities. Let's say you're going to go do like an art class every week. Slowly but surely, you're working on that asset to build it, but then you might get 3 or 4 other ones that you had no idea about or weren't even thinking about, that have suddenly, you have them now. And you might be looking at the list and be like, oh yeah, I went from like 22 to like 28, just like that. So I think it's just really important to just talk about them and know about them. And that's the main big part about it. So I don't want to take up too much more time because we're definitely way over, but yeah, that's kind of what the assets are. And I want to thank everyone for listening, and hopefully now you know a little bit more about the assets and why they're so important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you so much. So I will take just one question here. So how do you maintain your assets during COVID times, especially external assets? Any thoughts on that?
Definitely. That's a really good question. And that's actually what my job has been for the past little bit. And it's basically, you just need to find ways to make those connections. So for example, there are definitely in St. Albert, personally, there are so many different groups that will help you develop those assets. And they've mostly went online, a lot of them, but a few of them are starting to get back into person, which is really great. So just overall, like just do a little bit of research on like different youth groups that might be in your city. For example, the big one in St. Albert that actually focuses on the assets is BAM. It stands for Building Assets and Memories. And we meet 2 times a week. And we just do different activities, plan events, and all that fun stuff to build those assets for the people that join BAM, and then also build assets for the people that come to the events and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nikki. We really appreciate your time and presentation as well about these 40 assets. I wish we had more time to go in greater detail, but thank you so much for being with us. So as we wrap up this session, we have a question, and you guys are so smart. I think it's almost impossible to give you a non-answerable question, but the question is in the chat. Just fly it out. What's the most important part of asset? or something, the most important. It was Nikki told us something moments ago about that. That's not, nah. Having fun. It's good to have fun, but that's not what I'm looking for. There was something, the most important thing you should know about assets is, Nikki said something to that effect.
Yes, something.
Becoming a better person. That's good, but that's not what we're talking here. Come on, somebody. Not experiences, no. The most important thing about assets is you
Asset
should
is to be something about the asset.
exactly to be grow up
Something.
nicely. to be come on now. To build them learning, nice. Learning is kind of close, but not quite.
It's not quite, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody should think.
Come on, help me out here.
You might not have all of it, but
Yes.
what should you do?
The most important aspect or thing you should know about assets is you should be
Dash of them.
Yes, dash of them. Are you sure I can
You can't win. No, Victor, you can't be the one to win. Somebody, Zinat got the word.
Oh yeah, Ebele. I got Ebele first.
No,
Ebele.
did you get Ebele? No, I got Zinat. No, Zinat first. I got Zinat.
Okay.
Zinat first. Zinat got it. To be aware of them. Zinat.
Yeah, be aware of them. There you go. Thank you so much.
Zinat got it. Zinat
Perfect.
got it.
Oh my goodness, this is times 2. Oh, okay, Zinat is first time now. Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
Zinat,
All right.
got it.
Thank you so much, Nikki. We will kind of move on right away into the next part here. Thank you so very much. Okay, so at this time, we will now be inviting Neraya to speak on behalf of Students for Change. So I will just put Neraya on the screen here so that she can be on the screen. I will also take this moment to quickly apologize in advance that this meeting was originally scheduled to conclude at 5 p.m., but we won't be concluding at 5 p.m., but as close as we can to that time is what we're going to do here. I apologize for that. Okay, Neraya, the floor is yours. Can you talk to us about what you do in terms of Students for Change? And yeah.
Hi guys, good afternoon. I hope all of you have been enjoying your time thus far and really listening to what each of us has to say. So yeah, my name is Neraya Otu, and I'm currently a grade 12 student at Strathcona Christian Academy. I was just hoping to talk to you guys about Students for Change, which is an anti-racism initiative I started in my school. But I also wanted to talk to you guys about the importance of speaking up and finding your worth in a world where it's easy to feel invisible. So yeah, it's hard being a visible minority, and being one of a few people that look like you can feel defeating. As an African, your parents are probably immigrants, or maybe you are an immigrant yourself, which is great. It means that you carry a rich, diverse culture. Being an African is something of great pride, but it also means that we are part of a marginalized social group. Now, if your school is anything like mine, which we live in Alberta, so I'm going to go under the assumption that it is, then racism isn't something that is talked about a whole lot. It's a thing that gets swept under the rug because people get uncomfortable with the conversation. And despite it being very real and very prominent, no one in my school even acknowledged the discrimination that most of the students were facing. It was a very alienating experience because it felt like no one cared, like no one was listening. So I said to myself, I'm going to make them listen, whether they like it or not. And I want you guys to take note of that, because as you get older, you're going to find yourselves in situations where it seems as though it's you against the world. And when you do, it's important to stand up for yourself. Be the change that you want to see. There's a quote from Charles Handy. He's an Irish philosopher, and I always love to bring this quote up. He said, "Citizenship is the chance to make a difference in the place where you belong." I'd like to add on to that. It's up to you as an individual to create change. It's easy to sit around and point at all that's wrong in society, waiting for someone else to step up and do something. But you don't have to wait. Find your passion and use what you're good at to make an impact in the world around you. You right now are capable of making an impact. For a long time, I thought that I couldn't help others until I became an adult. or before I reach my academic goals. I plan on going to med school and becoming a doctor. And so I had this warped idea that the only time I had to start being active in my community and giving back was once I graduated med school. I thought that I could only help others after I became a doctor. Now, during the first lockdown in March, I was forced to spend a lot of time with myself, and that resulted in a lot of self-reflection. Actually, it was through a paper that I had to write for school that I realized how much time I had let slip through my hands and how many opportunities I missed. I turned down opportunities to volunteer and serve within my community. I wasted time educating myself about social injustices, but never actually doing anything about it. And so I decided that I wasn't going to give up another opportunity to create change. And as fate would have it, come September of last year, I was involved in an encounter with a teacher, and that teacher made a racist remark. For days, his statement left a bitter taste in my mind, and I contemplated what to do. I could ignore it and move on, avoid the consequences that might come with standing up to a teacher, or I could talk about the encounter with the teacher and explain why I felt his statement was unnecessary and degrading. Because I had made that decision in March, I knew I couldn't just ignore it. And so after a series of meetings and emails and more meetings and more emails, I ended up starting Students for Change so that other students could feel comfortable sharing their experiences. Now, there are two things I want you guys to take away from that story. The first is don't pass up any opportunity to make an impact, especially if you feel passionate about the issue. And the second is to know your rights. You have to be able to recognize when an injustice is occurring in order to make a change. I really want to emphasize that second point. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourselves and others. And yes, it takes bravery, and yes, it takes courage, but I believe that each and every one of you is capable of being a leader. You have a wonderful community around you, your parents, your teachers, your friends, aunts, uncles, the list goes on. And they all want you to succeed, and they will do their best to get you there. So if you're ever going through something, anything, talk about it. Let your parents know what's going on so they can help you. Believe me, it makes all the difference. I want to wrap up with these 3 points. 1, speak up. Don't be afraid of what others would say or what they're going to do. And 2, find or create a safe space where you can talk to others and like your parents about what you're going through. And 3, never forget your worth. You are valuable, you are capable, and you are strong. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naraya. Thank you so much. That is really powerful. And I just want to, just thank you for taking the initiative to do something like you kind of said while you were speaking. It's one thing to be aware, it's one thing to educate yourself. All of this are really good, but to take action, which is what you have done, it's really an example for the rest of us. And thank you so much for doing that, and doing that at this kind of age, at this stage of, I guess, your life, so to speak, in terms of high school and things of that nature. So thank you so much for speaking up and creating that safe space for others to do the same as well. Yes, I was thinking of a question, but
there's somebody that made a comment. Labiba said, isn't it better to just ignore the labels of black and white rather to talk about this divide? I suppose if there's no wall there, there's no divide, right? How do we respond to that?
Yeah,
let's give Councillor Ray or Constable MJ, the older people, to see if they can help us with that.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah, in your view, Councillor Ray, Constable MJ, if you're speaking, I can just spotlight you if you want to speak to that question in the comment.
I actually would like to hear Naraya's answer to that, actually. I think she's probably the more appropriate person to answer that question. Since it was her topic right there, I would really like to hear her answer to that, because I know what I would do. I don't think you should be quiet. You have to stand up against racism and injustice because it exists. So I would like to hear
Naraya's. Please, Naraya.
Yeah, actually, I agree with Councillor Ray. I think that we can only get to a point where we can ignore those labels once we see everyone getting treated equally, right? Like I said, with the teacher who made the racist comment, if he was making comments like that about other students, why would I, speak up if it was something that was happening maybe to everyone? But the fact that it was a targeted group, and the fact that we see inequality around the world, and someone said in the comment that white privilege exists, and there's systemic racism, and we are part of a marginalized group. So these are things that we need to bring up, and we need to open up these conversations because no one is talking about it enough, right? So that's just what I think.
Thank you so much, Naraya. Thank you so much. Okay, so is anyone looking to add to what has been said to answer the question? Okay, but yeah, these are really, really, really important things to talk about, and more than talk about, do something about as well, and our response is evolving as hopefully everyone comes to that common ground in terms of how to move forward and how to identify things that we've discussed here already. So, okay, with that, I don't know, Councillor Ray, if you have anything to add to what has been said.
Sure. Yeah. I had a few things to say. Helen wanted me to talk about some things, and I really want to say that the young people here should really, really take note and listen to what's been said here by all the speakers, from Councillor Burrows to Mr. Obifumi, and especially the three young people at the end. And to Naraya, a person like Naraya, like when I was your age, I didn't have the courage to stand up to the racism. I just took it. And you've demonstrated a tremendous amount of courage. I was going to talk about community. And what is community, and just things about it. And community is, it's living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. A feeling of fellowship with others, as a result of sharing some kind of a common attitude or interest or goals. And the Africans of St. Albert is a community unto itself. And everyone who is an African in St. Albert is part of that community, whether you're part of this group or not. And you don't have to be an African to be part of this group if you want to be. You can just be part of the group. And there are many different communities and sub-communities in St. Albert. You could be part of the North Point Church Community Group. You could be part of the St. Albert Photography Club. You could be part of minor hockey. You could be part of Paul Kane High School or whatever school. That's a community. And your block or your cul-de-sac can also be a community. However, all of us are part of the community of St. Albert. You're all part of this community of 66,000 people, which we all call home. And as Helen often talks about it, and as the African parable is, it takes a village to raise a child, is the proverb that means an entire community of people must interact for those children to grow up in a safe and healthy environment. And in a city like St. Albert, we're very lucky to have a lot of supports. And as some of them have been mentioned, you can get support in your community from your school teacher, from the counselors at school, from youth groups such as BAM that were brought about, jack.org, Girl Guides, the food bank, the police department, as Constable Burrows was saying, your neighborhood, your friends, your church group, city governments, they're all part of the community, and they're all there to offer help and support for people. And the last resort is now you can pretty much go online and type in, I need help with anything, and you'll find help. You'll find a path to give you help and support, no matter what community you're looking for. But most importantly, for those who are lucky enough to have some form of family we live with or have lived with, such as a mother and or a father or a grandfather or grandmother or brothers and sisters to offer support, this is often the most important part of our community, our family. It's the closest, really most sacred, important part of our community. So you should remember that. Fancy clothes, as we were talking about, cars, suits, big houses, and all that kind of crap are really not that important. The clothes get old, the cars get old, the house gets old. Those things wear off. The most important thing in your life are your relationships with your families and friends. And when you become a part of a community, there are a lot of positives that come out of community. It's a sense of being a part of something. You can get help and support. You have a sense of pride. If somebody says, hey, I go to North Point Church and I love it, and you go to North Point Church, you have a sense of pride for being part of that community. If the Edmonton Oilers ever win a Stanley Cup, you're going to say, hey, I'm part of that community. I have pride because I live in the Edmonton region. The Oilers are my team. What you don't want to hear about your community are bad things about your community. You don't want to hear the Edmonton Elks are in last place. That's bad if you're a sports fan. You don't want to hear that you're part of a violent gang or drug gang or something like that. You don't want to be part of that kind of a community because that can ruin your life. You don't want to have your community involved or associated with a bad incident. You hate to hear somebody say, well, something happened in St. Albert, this bad thing happened there. That's part of our community. We don't want bad things to happen in our community. You don't want your neighborhood to have the highest rate of crime because that's your community. So what can you do as part of a community and to be part of a community as a young person? Well, to be a good member of a community, one of the things is to be law-abiding and to follow the laws and rules of the community. Another, as we heard from FOMA, is to volunteer and give back to your community. Do something that will help others within your community. Join a school group, join a church group, donate your time or your money, raise bottles, go over to the food bank and donate your time. Get into extracurricular activities. There are other things besides just hockey. There are things, like Euphoma said, that are free. She went in Air Cadets and loved it and had a plethora of experiences that were positive for her in cadets. And when you get in extracurricular activities, what it shows people is what you're interested in. And it shows your personality as a person. If all you do is go to school and you come home and you don't do anything else, what are you interested in? What are you all about? If you get out there and get actively involved, get into extracurricular activities, do things, it just creates a more well-rounded individual and it shows your personality. And you also, when you volunteer and you give to your community, you are rewarded in spades, believe me. And it's not a reward in money, it's a reward in thanks and knowing that you've helped somebody and you've done something to make a difference. So, and also, no matter what you are doing, do your best and give it your best. Don't, as I say, half-ass it. Do your best. As a visible minority, you will be compared to others. And as my mom said to me as a kid, she goes, Ray, if there's a person of non-person of color and a person of color, and you're going for a job, they're probably going to pick the non-person of color. You have to be better. You have to do better. You have to try harder. So it's important to do your best. And also, to be a good member of your community, in your home community, is be helpful around your house. Listen to the guidance and direction of your parents. No matter what you think, your parents love you. When I was 23 years old, I couldn't stand my father nor my mother. I was so sick of living with them. I couldn't wait to move out. I moved from Windsor, Ontario, all the way across the country here to Edmonton. And I think it was about 3 months I realized how much I missed my parents. And I realized how much they had taught me and how much they had helped me and how much they looked after me and how much it must have cost them for me to eat and live under their roof for 23 years of my life without giving them a nickel. My dad used to laugh. He'd look at me and say, see that kid over there? He weighs 150 pounds, and I think he's cost me about $250,000 a pound. And he would laugh about that. And I'm forever indebted to my parents. They always have supported me. They always love you. Even if you don't love them back, they still care for you. So realize that there are things out there that they warn you about, and things that they tell you are only to help you and help shape your character and morals as a person. And that the things that they are warning you against, believe me, they're right. And remember, what you do reflects on your community. If you do something bad, people say, look at Johnny, he's part of the St. Albert's African people. I'd rather have them look at Johnny and say, hey, look at Johnny. He's over at the food bank donating his time. Those kids in the African group are a great bunch of kids. Wouldn't you rather have people say that about you? So get out there and volunteer. You know, just a little message about my own cul-de-sac. My own cul-de-sac is its own little micro community in St. Albert, because we have our own little cul-de-sac party. There's only 15 houses on it. We watch out for each other, and we have a group chat for just the people in our cul-de-sac. So that's kind of a micro community. And I got a motorhome, and I went away in my motorhome last weekend, and I forgot to take my garbage cans out, both the green and the brown. And I'm like down in Drumheller camping, and I'm thinking, darn it, tomorrow's garbage day, forgot to take it out. I returned on Saturday, and to my surprise, both my garbage cans had been taken out and returned to the front of my house and had been emptied. And I said, that's Rick, my neighbor. I'm going to call Rick up, thank him for taking out my garbage cans. What a good community guy. I texted Rick and I said, hey, Rick, thanks for taking out my garbage cans. I was going to call you, but I forgot all about it, and you remembered. And he said, don't thank me. I didn't do it. I think Greg did it, your other neighbor. So actually, my other neighbor across the street had taken out my garbage cans for me and put them back because he had saw that I was away. I didn't ask him. I didn't tell him I was going. He just saw that I was away. And part of community, he did that. That's community on a micro scale. And I know that as neighbors, we look out for each other. So just to finish, it says, there's some Chinese parables, and they kind of go, a single tree does not make a forest. A single string cannot make music. One bee cannot produce honey, and one grain of rice cannot produce a meal. This means many things require people working together to achieve an end. We all have to pull together. It needs a joint effort to achieve everything worthwhile, and it takes many hands and light works. So remember, no matter what your community or communities you're a part of, be involved, be proud, and do right. And remember, if you're struggling with anything, be it your mental health, your sexuality, problems at home, at school, seek out one or more of the many sources to help that our community or communities have to offer. Because remember, it takes a village to raise a kid. And although I'm not a counselor, after Monday, I am still and will continue to be a member of the Africans of St. Albert and the City of St. Albert community. And if you need help or advice that you think or you feel that I can help you with, give me a call, 780-907-9663, or ray@watkinsland.ca. You can drop me an email. And if I can't assist you, hopefully I can point you in the right direction. So with that, thank you very much. It's been an honor to serve the people of St. Albert. And kids, listen to what was said here today by the previous speakers, because they've given you some really good sage advice.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Councillor Ray. Thank you so much for those words of wisdom and counsel for us there. very pointed and very relevant. Thank you so much for your wisdom. At this time, I want to quickly apologize. I should have invited Constable MJ Burrow to speak to us about Trouble-Free Life and the DARE program as well, just as we wrap up tonight, this evening. So I will now request for Constable Burrow to please take the floor now for that presentation. I apologize for the order. Thank you so much.
I just have to say that I agree 100% with what Councillor Ray has spoken about, and it really contributes to leading a trouble-free life. Throughout my career, I've spent time, 21 years, my 22 years, I've spent time educating children about making healthy choices in their life through the DARE program, through other programs. I always tell the youth that to have a trouble-free life, you have to make healthy choices and look at risky behaviors and make sure that you're looking at them before you're deciding to do them. Think about the consequences of all your choices before you do something and wonder if it's worth the risk to do something. Life is all about making choices, but it's also about learning from our mistakes. So we all make mistakes in life. And the one thing that I encourage youth to know that if you did make a mistake, just learn from what you did. Be accountable. Recognize what you did wrong. Don't try to hide what you did wrong when you're asked. Be truthful, be accountable to your actions, and tell the truth. And that really is part about learning life lessons and moving on from that. Alcohol and cannabis are legal substances that are abused on a daily basis. And of course, youth have lots of questions about that, and they're curious in nature, just as adults, but even more so as youth. So just know that there are a lot of risky things that are attributed to alcohol, cannabis, and different types of drug use. And not only are they hurtful to our bodies, there's many health risks involved with using any type of drug, even tobacco and vaping. We know there's lots of expenses around that, but we're all individuals and we all have different personalities. And some people have more addictive type personalities than other people. And if you choose to participate in risky behaviors, you don't know how your body's going to react to that. And if in fact using some type of substance could attribute to different things going on in your life and cause more problems. Addiction is prevalent in today's society, and it can be very damaging, not only to yourself, but to your families. Most people who tend to start using different substances tend to turn to crime to support their substance abuse because it's expensive and it costs money. And so it seems to be a domino effect. So looking right back to the very beginning of making healthy choices and really considering the consequences of every choice you make, because every choice does have an outcome. And as young people, you should really be focusing on trying to make positive outcomes for your life and not negative ones. But again, if you do make a mistake, be accountable and recognize what you've done wrong and learn from that as you move forward. Because as a society, that's how we grow. That's all.
Thank you so much.
I'll keep it short since we're running out of time.
Yes, thank you so very much for that. And I think it really ties in very nicely as is, with what Councillor Ray was sharing with us, and then just connecting that together here. So thank you so much for being able to do that. As Ellen mentioned in the chat box, please, if you have questions, feel free to put in the chat. Even if we can't get the answers to them right away, we would follow up to make sure that the resource persons the questions is passed on to them, answers passed back to you, and everyone has that taken care of. So at this time, we would okay, so in the interest of time, we would we have an activity, and the idea was to create a design or create a drawing or a picture that basically inspires you to pursue excellence and inspires you to think excellence, because all of the things that has been said today by all of our wonderful speakers, I was invited here, such a privilege to be a part of hosting this and emceeing this. But I wasn't just when I was writing down, I wasn't just writing down questions, I was writing down stuff for myself as well, because this has been so informative and so amazing, and it just, inspires and challenges us. So what I would say is, in the interest of time, instead of us going, back to create activities, I would just share something that I created to basically be a picture reminder for me to kind of continue to pursue excellence. So before I do that, I will just post this statement here, and then I would share my picture. So this is a comment or success, not usex, success. There you go. So that's the quote I'm trying to share. So success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And I just wanted to share that because for every one of us, there is still something we can do, no matter how great and how wonderful we've been and whatever the case might be. It's just from the student perspective, whether you're in grade 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, or whether you're in first year of university, or whether you're a recent grad like myself, there's always something to do to increase. There was always something to do that you can do now that would make your future self thank you. So I have a big board here, but I'll just share the picture here instead because we don't have time. It's just something that I created don't judge my drawing. So basically this is, the guy in blue is Victor. This is your MC today. And he has his eyes set on a worthy ideal. And he's taking steps, a little step here and there, step 1, step 2, on and on towards the worthy ideal. And at every point in time, y equals to t squared, if you're in science, you know what I mean? At every point in time is moving forward, approaching the worthy ideal. And I hope that from today's presentation, this picture kind of sticks with you as something to think about at every juncture and at every point of things that you're doing. So with that said, I will now invite Ellen for remarks and any additional things to cover before we call it a day. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you, everyone. I want to say thank you to all the kids, every one of you. We are also awesome. And thank you to our speakers. Thank you, Constable MJ, Councilor Ray Watkins. Thank you for all your time. And we want to say thank you to all the children that connected today for making time. And we want to keep encouraging you when we have events like this. Please encourage your parents by agreeing to attend, because this is just our little way as a community to show that we value all of you. You are all precious to us. You've heard it again and again. Mayor Kati has said it, Councilor Ray has said it. I'm sure your parents also tell you, you are valuable, you are our future. And we're doing our little best to show it to you that we support you. And we encourage you to listen to the advices that have been given. And we still have few gift cards to give away. I don't know, Victor, do you have more questions for us to give out? At least question from Maria okay. Or from Constable MJ, if you have things to say, so that we give out this gift card, or if when we do that, then we'll have a kid that will want to say something to us, one child that will want to give a review of this event will have the last gift card. So first, do you have any questions for us to give out this?
Well, yes, I do. I do, but if it's okay, it's not necessarily related to what has been said previously. But this is the question. You may not be aware of it, but I've been wearing a tie the entire time. I've been wearing a bow tie. What is the color of my tie? Now I'm covering it so you can see, but I've been wearing the bow tie the entire time.
Now let's see. So
okay, whoever said blue first got it. It's so hard to see, but it's there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
said blue. Okay, so let's see who's the first person on that list.
I don't know. I just saw blue somewhere.
Oh my goodness, Cincy, we have to move to the next person. There's the next with Cincy, because you've won one thing. Let's give it to Marco Okai. Number 5. That person has not won. Marco Okai is the next person. So we still have one more gift card. So Marco, that 5. So we still have one more gift card. So say something. So we are just making sure that all the gift card goes
everyone.
to the kids.
Yes,
So
for sure. So what's the name of Neraya's high school?
Whoa.
No. Ooh, what?
So
Oh my goodness. This is amazing. Okay.
Is
So
it-
someone gave a part of the answer, someone else gave the full answer. So how do you want to approach this? Are you do you want a full answer to take precedence, or
Yeah,
just the idea?
anybody that has something close.
So
close to-
Strathcona Christian High School by Kui is what I see here. Does
By
that
who?
satisfy? KUI. I'm not sure who this person is. Kui.
Okay,
I'm
by
assuming.
KUI. Okay.
That is correct.
Okay,
Neraya, is
that's
this?
the correct. So that's the person that got it.
Yes, I just want to verify with Neraya. That's
Yeah,
correct.
that's
Okay,
correct, yeah.
Perfect. I'm actually totally
Whoa.
blown away. I didn't think anybody would remember that. I don't know what you guys are doing, but when I grow up, I want to be like this,
They
to
are
be able to
paying
remember
attention.
stuff.
So you said by
Oh my-
KUI.
That is correct. Yes.
Is that the
yes.
first person that you saw their name?
That the first person that had the full name. Someone else had just Strathcona.
Okay, let me text that person. Okay,
Yes.
so which person? Okay, so we have all the. So who amongst you wants to give us a review for this event? Type in your name right away.
Me, okay.
Okay, who's the first person? Okay, the first person is Esosa. Okay, Esosa. Okay, Esosa. Oh yeah, come on, let's see you since he's the first person that typed in.
Okay.
Okay, so let's put Esosa. Esosa, I want to tell
Yes,
you.
I want to hear what Esosa has to say.
I thought this event was really good, and it's teaching me how I should pursue my life in the future and in high school. As a eighth grader going into grade 9 next year.
We're not seeing Esosa's face. Is it missing?
My face is not working. And
your face, we have to see your face to be able to give you a gift card.
And it's can you shut up again? Okay, it's giving me lots of inspiration for next year when I go into grade 9 to take what classes and what to do after school and how to go to university and how to apply and how to get a job.
Awesome.
Okay, perfect. All right. Does Esosa get any gifts today, or it's just
yes, that's
bragging
the
rights?
last person. He's the first that typed in. So
Okay.
he gets the last gift card. And so Kui, let me type in Kui. Let's let the person tell us his parents' name before. Tell us.
Okay.
Before
So
we
that's
shut down.
okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's all. It's been awesome. We're so sorry that it took longer than we expected, and we hope every kid enjoyed this event. You know, it was put forward together by all of your parents in the African group. And we truly appreciate all of you for joining and staying and participating. And we say keep participating in the community, keep coming for the event. So thank you and have a successful year in school and take care. And thank you, Victor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. This was fun. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
you.
Bye.
So we'll be shutting down now. Dina, Cookie, Mongi, Orge. Awesome. Have a good night, everyone.